Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I'm your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Yes, we are back in studio from last night, and guess what? Since we are in studio, we got the Cannonball King himself, Mr. Spider.
If you thought I was low energy last night, I'm slow-mo Spider this morning.
You know, I was just pointing to Janie, kind of going, as soon as the audio went on, my energy just went right up through the roof. So anyways, guys, today we are talking to Josh Sandler, CEO of Gold Medal Pools. And trust me, this is going to be a podcast you don't want to miss. A lot of great information. So I want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, the podcast where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we get started today, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the Ultimate Pool Tools, the SPPA, Blu-ray XL, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage, and Hayward Pools Products. We want to thank them for their continued support. Mr. Zacharias out of the mountains and nice and fresh. How you doing?
I'm actually doing really well. I go through these lulls throughout the year, right? Where, you know, you're on fire and you're killing it and you're motivated and your brain's firing on all cylinders. And then sometimes it's just not, and you're kind of unmotivated and going through the motions. And it was like yesterday, the switch flipped back into the motivational category, and my brain was just going, and I'm thinking about a lot of the things that we might get into on this, and processes, and how can we improve, and where are our inefficiencies and things like that. And it was like so much so when I got home, I was just like my brain hurt and I had to turn it off. So I think the timing on this is absolutely perfect, and I'm excited to talk to Josh and hear his story and, you know, get some of those insights on business, because this is the stuff that truly gets me going.
Yeah, and trust me, this is going to be a great one for you. I know you're going to have probably about 50 questions. We're going to have to watch them today. So, Mr. Flawless, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm just trying to figure out what's wrong, because I don't know where you guys are getting all this energy from, and I'm starting to get a complex or something, thinking that something's wrong with me, because as your guys' energy starts to skyrocket, or these switches are flipped on with me, I'm just like, it seems like as I get older and as I keep going, I'm just kind of like chilling.
It's like Spider says, when it's lights,
Showtime?
camera, action, showtime, the body just goes in and kicks in.
I'm just a slow starter. I'm not fast off the start, but when I get going, I'm going. Right? You know, like a train, like a locomotive, right? So
you're for the long distance.
I'm not going to be anybody in a sprint. That's for sure.
You got to find your groove.
Yeah, I get moving and growing, but no, I'm doing great. It's always awesome getting into the studio and doing the podcast. Right? Last night was a hoot. It was a great time talking to everybody in the reps and listening to their stories. And this morning, for sure, Josh, really appreciate you coming down. I think you have an amazing story to tell everybody. Just like I'm going to echo what Zach said, these are the things that are very motivational to us guys and gals out in the pool industry that, you know, just start out, or, you know, are, you know, have maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 pools, or however many, even 100 pools, whatever it may be. And they're right at the brink of expansion, and, you know, that the fear of the unknown. And, you know, it's not always all sunshine and rainbows, like I say, but the payoff, if you put in the work, and that's the beautiful thing about this industry, is that you can be and do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You can be successful at, you know, 50 pools, 100 pools, live a wonderful life with your family, or if you want to take the next step and to grow into a bigger operation and get into the thousands of pools serviced and, start building and kind of doing it all, it can happen as well. Right. And you don't need to be in college for 8 years. You don't have to have this, amazing educational or, go to university or anything, be a blue collared worker, bust your butt, work really hard, learn from your mistakes. And then you can be anything you want to be. So I'm excited to listen to your story because I think, like I say, it's very inspirational to myself, to all of us and everybody that's listening. So thanks for coming.
Appreciate that. Glad to be here.
Yep.
So, Josh, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thanks for coming out. I know it was kind of a last-minute curveball.
So we do our best work, right?
That's right.
We're pool guys.
I do. It just dawned on me that's twice now that I've thrown 2 curveballs at him, and he kind of come out swinging, John. Because the first
Watch
one was when we met at the Hassa event.
Yep.
And we kind of joked around, and you started talking to me, and I'm like, hey, I have an idea. You want to kind of come over and train some classes? And just without skipping a beat, he's like, yeah, of course, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then we're having a conversation 2-3 days ago, and I'm like, hey, kind of curveball. Do the podcast? He's like, done. I'll be there.
Well, he's a go-getter.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
yeah. So we're excited to have you, join us today. I agree with John. I think, and you and I have talked about this, is, I think it's great to hear your story, and you and I have talked, and I get so fired up every time that we're done having a conversation, right? Because it's, it's very motivational, and to see somebody that's been able to succeed, but be able to share your success stories, their struggles, and the things that we have to do to get there just kind of, is very motivating. And I know a lot of the people listening today are going to be very excited and motivated. It's going to be a good weekend, Zach, for a lot of people out there. Zach is probably going to be unbearable for the next couple days because he's going to get fired up, Josh, and he's going to be calling us like every 20 minutes with all these things that he's going to do.
Love it.
So look, right, do that again, Zach. Zach, look, he's got his favorite. So
He's ready.
Here's what you're going to see for Zach. The whole time is he's just going to be kind of taking all these notes. So Zach, if you want, I can send you the transcript of the podcast, my friend.
Yes.
So, hey, everybody, before we get started, let's kind of get through some housekeeping notes here really quick. We have the next Pool Nation Spotlight and Insights coming out soon. That's going to be out next week. Stay tuned. It's going to be about the Pool Nation Conference, but you can go take a look at the one that we have there. There's some business tips. We're talking about the next group of female leaders in the industry in this current episode, so go check it out. We talk about the Women's Summit. The other thing that we're going to talk about is we have the Pool Nation Conference, which is going to be November 9th, 10th, and 11th. And yes, Josh will be there to teach some classes, which I am really looking forward to doing. And we're going to have 4 tracks. We'll have the technical, we'll have the hands-on, the business, and the retail. We break these up a little bit different. And last night I talked about the technical. Today I'm going to talk about the business because Josh is here. But for every technical class that we do it different. Instead of having a map of 30 to 50 classes and having to pick and choose, we kind of create a curriculum of courses that we want people to be able to go through because every class builds on top of each other. And so for the business track, we're going to have everything that's on the employee life cycle, right? So from building a team, what is it like to build the team? What are the roles? What are the responsibilities? And then we're going to go into hiring, right? Behavioral hiring, teaching people how to hire, sitting down, doing one-on-one practices. And we go through that cycle. The next cycle might be that you need to, coach and counsel somebody. You need to write them up. So what is that process like? What form should you use? What's the role play to be able to do that? And we go all the way out to termination, right? Because the employee life cycle is going to have that entire cycle. And then the second day is going to be really kind of focused on the business side. So we start really with a lot of the branding, a lot of the marketing. We'll talk about scaling. We'll talk about financials, and then we close off with an exit strategy, which I think a lot of people don't think about is like, how am I going to set up my business for when I can't do this anymore to get the most dollars out of that business? And Josh, we've talked about it. It's not something that you can think 3 months before. It's a long-term strategy.
A little bit of planning involved, to
be able to get there. And here's the beauty of what we'll talk about today, even with Josh. He'll tell us, right? So obviously, you guys have acquired a lot of companies, but Josh will share, hey, this is what you need to do in order to get the top dollar out of that business. So every track that we do really kind of builds on top of each other. We do the same for the technical, the hands-on. for the hands-on classes. I mean, we have PAL Lighting, we have the attendant, we've got Aquastar, we've got Raypack, we've got Leaktronics that's going to be doing a leak class. We've got all kinds of classes. We have a specialty class, bonus class for the entire pad where we teach everybody to wire an entire pad. And they kind of teach them, obviously, high voltage, low voltage, programming, all that kind of fun stuff. So if you want to attend, it's going to be November 9th, 10th, and 11th. Go register at poolnation.com, or you can go to the PSP Expo and you can register through theirs. It'll go through, I think, like 3 pages of questions, and then all the education comes on, and it's really simple. Just go to the Pool Nation section, pick what track you want to do, boom, and you're done. The next thing that we'll talk about is the Pool Nation Awards, November 13th at the PSP Expo. I was at the Convention Center in Dallas. And that starts from 6 to 9. And then right after that, we go to the historic Union Station where we're going to party till 1 o'clock in the morning, right? We'll get everybody to celebrate, everybody to have a great time.
Show off their trophies.
And show off those trophies, right?
Yep.
I heard there might be an open bar
there
too.
Till 1 o'clock. Let's make that part clear.
What's that?
We'll be partying there till 1 o'clock.
Joe,
there may be a little something afterwards. You never know.
True that. True that. Forgot about that, Spider. So I do want to tell the story about Spider. So Spider went to Vegas last year, right? And we go to the after party, and we're having a great time and all that. And all of a sudden, I'm like, man, where's Spider? And I start going through the whole venue, asking everybody, like, have you seen Spider? I'm thinking he went to bed, he's done. And they're like, nope, he took off with the Biolab people. They were done with the party, and they were going to go party till 4 a.m. And Spider just jumped on and took off with Biolab.
That's awesome.
For sure. It's good folks, man.
And he's the one that had us with the video with Alicia drinking her drink out of the trophy. So that was awesome. So Spider, I'm assuming you're going to repeat this year.
You never know what it's going to happen. I don't make plans. I just go with the flow.
You just go with the flow.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Now let me ask you, Spider, are you going to hand out an award this year?
That depends on if I'm having to work the event or not.
Okay. So
I would like to. I think I could pull it off either way.
Yeah.
Let's sign me up. Go ahead.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go.
So let's go. So, and then the last thing that I want to talk about is for everybody that's going to go to the Pool Nation Awards, we partnered with the Men's Warehouse. We have a discount of $60 for any tuxedo rental. And the reason we did that is it's because it's really cool. If you're from out of state, all you have to do is go to your closest Men's Warehouse. You're going to go in, you're going to get measured. You give them the Pool Nation code. They're going to give you $60 off. But here's the beauty. They ship that tuxedo to the closest Men's Warehouse to the convention center. And then what you do, you come into town, you go there 2 days in advance, and you're going to want to make sure that you try on the tuxedo, right? In case it needs to be adjusted. We've had that. But go out there, you'll try it, you pick it up there, you use it, you bring it back, you're done. You don't have to travel with a tuxedo. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff.
I definitely should have done that last year.
Yes, that's been a huge saver for us. The only problem is now we own like 50 tuxedos, right?
You
You.
And every year they get crazier and crazier. You say, well, what do you think about these? Should we wear these? And I'm like, nope.
So you should have seen Josh. I went to the Men's Warehouse and they had all these crazy tuxedo jackets and they were all on sale. And so I ended up buying like 5 jackets. I bought 2 or 3 jackets for Zach. And so here we are with all of a sudden with all these extra tuxedo jackets. Like we got tuxedos for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Are you gonna wear the flamingo one?
Oh, of course. That's the party one.
Yeah. What kind of party?
Hey.
No.
Let's tone it down. Let's tone it down, my friend. Let's not get started. So this is not a nighttime podcast.
Oh yes.
This is a daytime
I'm sorry,
podcast.
It's a blur. Last night, it's kind of blending into today.
Yes. So hey, Jeanette, big shout out there. Todd, Ripple Effect, big shout out to you guys all out there. So anyways, that's it. That's all our housekeeping notes. They're kind of gotten
No,
smaller.
it's not that they've gotten smaller. It's actually there's more of it, but you've just become that much more efficient, and I am thoroughly enjoying you being able to just blow right through it and me not have to say anything.
You just be able to sit over there and
just
relax.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's perfect.
okay.
Yeah, you nailed it. This was, I think, the best ever. What do you think, Zach?
No, it was good. I'm trying to figure out how to put in my time off request for November 9th, 10th, and 11th so I can attend the business track.
You're crazy, bro.
here's what happens with Zach every time we do one of those. He's like, I want to go to this class, and John and I are like running it, and we're like, where's Zach? And then he's like,
He's
he's
right
taking the
next to me.
business class, or he's taking the chemistry class, or he took the automation class, and it's like, you know what we're gonna have to do is. And Josh is going to have some people there. We're going to have to talk to some of Josh's HR people to be able to manage Zach and kind of do a little coaching and counseling because he keeps.
I'm doing quality control.
They're good. I'm not sure they're that good.
So the last thing that we want to talk about, which I almost forgot, is we are going to be doing on the 11th from 3:30 to 7 p.m. We are going to be doing the Heritage Pool Pro Appreciation event, and Josh is going to be there as well. And Josh, you're going to have quite a couple of your team. You're going to have this COO.
We're going to have our COO there, who runs all the operations. We're going to have Justin Barham, who's our director of construction and sales on that side, and then we're also going to have Stephanie Caraway, who most would call HR, but we call her the head of our people department.
Okay.
To answer some of these questions you're talking about, and she is an absolute must to growing a business.
For sure.
What was her name again?
Stephanie Caraway.
Stephanie, John and I need to talk to you. So we're gonna be at the bar right there at the Pool Nation bar. It's not an alcohol bar; it's a business bar.
Yes.
So what we're going to be doing is two different things, a little bit different. So we are going to have kind of some tabletops. We don't call them tabletops because we don't want tables. Really what we want is all these people to bring their products, and so their heaters and automations and pumps and lights and chemical feeders and all that. But really what we want is the pool pros to be able to kind of come touch, feel, play with the equipment, take heaters apart, do all that kind of stuff on the floor rather than your typical tabletop. And then the second part that we're talking about is we're doing the Pool Nation business bar. And that's kind of after the Apple bar. And really what we want is pool pros that have any type of business questions to be able to come to this section right there. And we're going to have people. So Josh will be there, talk about scaling, talk about financials, talk about anything. You can go directly to this bar and sit and talk to Josh about business, kind of get some feedback, whatever it is, whether it's service, building, operations, financials, all that kind of stuff. We will have now obviously HR, we'll have branding, we'll have marketing, we'll have Danielle will be there to, protect your business, all that kind of stuff. Excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. And we talk about marketing, right? And just listening to you right now, your key word on everything is bar, right?
So I got to cut that out.
Well, no, it's smart, right? It's wordplay, right? And the light bulb goes off in the pool industry because everybody in the pool industry loves to have a good time, right?
No.
So they hear that and they're going to be coming up going, "Hey, where are the drinks?"
Yeah. I'm at the bar.
I'm at the bar.
So Chris, if you're listening, we need to put the two bars close to the Pool Nation bar, right? So that they could be right there. People
the
can
bar
get
within the
drinks
bar.
Yeah. So absolutely. So anyways, we're really excited about this event. We're excited about everything that we have kind of going on. So anyways, stay tuned, listen, check it out. So, and MD, big shout out to you. Absolutely great live. Really appreciate that. So Josh, it's go time.
Let's do it.
So, Josh, I wish people could be flies on the walls when we've had conversations because we kind of go down all these rabbit holes and I kind of get excited about all these things. But really what I want to start to do is you have an amazing story. It's really a legacy story within our pool industry. You've been in the industry since you were born. Your father was in the industry. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about that legacy story.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you all for having me here. It's really a pleasure to tell the story, as I'm sure many people in the industry have a very interesting story. My family dates back to the late 60s, early 70s in New York. That's where my dad grew up. Actually grew up in the city. Had a pretty rough home life. Had a dad that left and a mother that abused him, and short story long, when he was 16 years old or so, he was moved out or was kicked out of his house in New York City. We had a very good friend of ours, one of his best friend's mother, a lady by the name of Irma Alvarez. To this day, she's like my grandmother. She was a scheduler at a pool company, and she got him a job as a laborer in a pool company when he was 16 years old, maybe even a little younger than that. So as time went forward, he figured out quickly that he wanted to work, he needed to work, And school really wasn't for him. So at 16 years old, after working for a couple of months for a pool company, he dropped out of high school and said, I can do this better, and started a pool company. Started really building all around the tri-state area for a number of years, doing all facets of the business. He was a hardworking dude, still is to this day. You know, he's in his 70s now, and he still works just as hard on his own projects. And some call it retirement, but every time I talk to him, he's still working sun up to sundown doing something. It's just in his blood. Therefore, it's in our blood. But in 1974, mid-70s, there was a gentleman that told him about this area in North Dallas and Plano, Texas, that it was really getting ready to grow. And at the time, 635 wasn't even there. It was dirt roads past 635, if you could imagine that. And so he loaded up everything he had in his truck, and he drove down to Texas, 1974. And he started a pool company, and that pool company is called Sandler Pools. It's still around to this day. And he just went to work. He did what he knew how to do. He took care of people, and he had a work ethic, still does, that he will not be outworked. And so he went to work. He took great care of people. He built a wonderful business. And then in the early 90s, he sold it to a gentleman, which then later merged with another company. Went into semi-retirement. But as we did that, we had the opportunity to learn many things. We were in Colorado. We did commercial excavation. I was a track hoe operator, putting in big utilities and pad sites and you name it, just anything to do with construction. And ironically, when that non-compete ran up, we decided to come back to Texas and fire one up. And that's where Gold Medal began, right? When Gold Medal began, I was just a laborer. It was 3 or 4 of us. And he started it because he truly loved building pools. There's something about meeting with a person, understanding what they want to accomplish, and taking this green, brown backyard and turning into something beautiful that your family can enjoy. And he really enjoyed it. He loved building them. And so, by way of family, I learned it from the ground up, whether I was digging ditches or plumbing or sitting on a track hoe or digging pools or cleaning shells out or wiring pumps, you name it, we did it. Never really thought, I always swore at that time, as a teenager, that I would never be in the pool business. But little did I know, it was very, very deep in my blood.
They always say that, right?
Oh, for sure.
Well, it was pretty interesting as I grew up. Took a short break, went to college, went to business school. Was actually going to go to law school, and I came home for a little bit, and I just needed to work, and I started working. And at that point, I was really looking at the world through a different lens. And we had this very, when we started Gold Medal, I don't want to use the word hobby, but it was more of a passion project because he just loved building pools. He'd been there. He'd scaled a big company. He dealt with all the people and the daily and all the things that we talk about, opportunities or challenges, however you want to frame it. And I really saw it through a different lens. And so I went to him and I said, hey, I really think we have something here. This market's growing. Obviously, our family's built a wonderful name in this market for taking care of people. Let's grow this thing. And he looked at me and he said, okay, I'll do it under one condition. I don't want to mess with it. I've been there and I've done that. I'll be here to help.
Uh-huh.
And so there we went. One pool at a time. It was mainly focused on residential construction.
Mm-hmm.
We had 3 employees, 3 laborers. That was it. It's me and him and 3 laborers. And so I just went to work. I went to selling pools and building crews and dealing with people and just really continuing not only learn how to build pools, but really how to develop the business. So really over the next handful of years, we spent the time building up internal crews and excavation crews and plumbing crews and CAD departments and salespeople, and really just helping others to understand, the opportunity and really finding people that weren't in the industry that shared the same passion that we did, about people really wanting to, what we consider, improve their lives, right? We see it as it's easy to get caught up in the, how many pools are we going to do this month? Or how many did we build? Or what was the margin on this pool? Or what is this? But really, when you think about it and you sit back and you get that email through your website at midnight and someone says, hey, we'd like to talk about a pool design, that's life-changing for them. and they've thought about that, and it's one of the single largest investments they'll ever make, not only in their home in their lifetime, but also in their family. Right? They're taking this 100-degree weather and kids bouncing off the walls and mud and grass outside, and they're saying, we want to improve our lives. And so, people that really shared in that perspective, that took every opportunity that seriously, and really wanted to help people achieve that. So as we did that, we continued to move forward. We built the residential side. In 07, 08, we remembered what happened.
Oh yeah.
And we were decent sized then, but it was strictly residential construction.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a family meeting at the time, and we sat down. We said, "Hey, it's getting ready to get tight. Do we want to pull them in, or do we want to make sure we take care of everybody, and do we want to go for it?" And actually, 08, 09, and 10 were our biggest growth years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for everybody listening, obviously 08 was probably one of our worst recessions, right? Things were just not pretty at all. I mean, to be able to go and grow in 08, 9, and 10 is huge.
It was. The market was smaller, but our market share increased. We literally just made a decision. We were going to out-relationship. We were going to outwork. We were going to out-care. We were going to out-warranty. And when things got tight, we saw a lot of folks in the market start short-paying subs. We saw a lot of folks in the market, simple things that you wouldn't think about, where you give the homeowner the benefit of the doubt, and it might cost you a little money, but it obviously keeps a happy customer. People are pulling their horns back on that, and we were doubling down on that and really built a following doing that, and then just came out of it. We're still in a climb from that, frankly.
That is.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, everybody, sometimes it's human nature to kind of like panic, when stuff like that happens and everybody's just in like self-preservation mode or time to give up or get rid of the business or go off and do something else and say, oh, poor me. Where other people look at it as an opportunity and say, it doesn't matter whether we're in a recession, whether we're in a depression, there's always opportunity. Right. And if you have a positive outlook and you're willing to work hard and do what it takes to do it and take some chances, right? The reward is great and it can pay off. And obviously you guys seized that opportunity where everybody else kind of backed away. You dug in deep, right? And you went head first and said, "Oh no, we're not giving up. We're going to make the most out of this."
Oh yeah.
And then in reality, it's like the competition wasn't necessarily as much because most people pulled out, right? And you're like, well, damn, the pot's even, there's not as many people vying for this or going for this, and we're just going to seize everything we possibly can, and you get rewarded for doing stuff like that. That's pretty amazing.
Now, the couple years before 2008 were really good in the industry, right?
They were, yeah.
They were. It was not probably as much as COVID, but it had that spike in builds, right?
It had a good spike, but we were just starting to scale then, and we were never focused on our size. Obviously, we grew year over year. We were just more focused on quality, achieving lifetime customers, finding, building relationships with folks that would come back and their kids would come back, and now their grandkids that we're building swimming pools for. We weren't as focused. We would never. It's wild to say we've never submitted in the pool awards for the top builder and submitted our revenues. We've always just kind of tried to stay under the radar and take care of people.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have done some pretty great builds out here in Texas, right?
We have, yeah. Very fortunate.
And I want to say something that just dawned on me. So your dad came out here, built his company, which has a huge reputation.
Does,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a staple builder within Texas. And by the way, Texas is a great market, right?
The best.
People here really want to do business with top-notch companies. People are very picky when it comes to that kind of stuff. And it just dawned on me, your dad has been part of probably two of the most recognizable, amazing pool building companies out here in the Dallas area.
Yeah, he's a very influential person in this industry, yeah.
He is. And so just to even tell you, so when I moved out here 2017, those were really the two names that I would see. And I would see the trailers everywhere with the gold medal pools built. And I mean, you guys were even the official builder for the Dallas Cowboys?
Of the Cowboys, yeah.
Of the Dallas Cowboys. But here's the key thing. That had never come up. It just dawned on me as you were saying it. And I'm like, I think I remember seeing that. I just Googled it right now and looked at it, right? but that just tells you. But you guys have done, like John was saying, some amazing builds. You want to talk about some of those?
Yeah, you want to hear about the good ones?
Yes.
Yeah. And the bad ones too.
I've got a good cowboy story for you. Yeah, so we've been very fortunate, obviously, to have wonderful clients on the residential, on the commercial side. You know, as part of our journey, really about in 9 or 10, we started building some HOA type commercial swimming pools. And with my background and our background in excavation, site development, hardscapes, all those things, it started off going, hey, can you build us this simple pool, right? And these pools, these developers would put in, they would be in the last phase. It would be a little rectangle, something just to check the box for the contracts. We like to feel like we had a little bit of a part in spicing it up, making them more ornate, making them a sales tool on the front end. So as we worked with these architects over the years and as we worked with these developers, we saw this shift from putting a simple rectangle pool in phase 15 to putting an amusement park with a fence around it, essentially, into phase 1 with the model homes around, where the kids would come out and they'd go to the model homes and they'd stand at the fence and they'd say, Mom, Dad, I want to live here, right? And so it started off just building the swimming pool. And then as we had relationships with the people, it was like too big for a residential pool guy, but it was too small for a commercial construction guy. And it just didn't fit in the mold of that production builder because it was commercial construction. So it started off and we'd build this swimming pool. We work with the architects and they'd say, well, hey, can you do the playground? Well, sure. Well, hey, can you do the parking lot? Well, yeah, we can. Well, hey, we've got this 8,000 foot amenity center. Can we just give you this 4-acre site? Will you turn it over for me? Well, sure. And that's kind of how that's kind of, yes, sir.
Why not?
And you know, Texas, baby, everything's bigger in Texas.
That's awesome.
It's big. And then we kind of got caught into this unique trajectory where this developer would start losing houses because their amenity was nicer. So then they'd want to kick it up and they'd say, well, you know, I want what he's got, but just a little bigger with a little more stuff on it, right? Sure. And so, you know, selfishly, we were the benefactor of that. And so that became a big part of our business as well. Really from about 2010 until last year, we sold that line of business. I can tell you more about that. But in the projects we built some wonderful, we just finished it's actually residential, but it's more commercial. We just finished a huge lazy river hanging out over Lake Travis.
Nice.
For a developer friend of ours and his weekend home. It's pretty cool. It's got
Weekend home.
bridges,
I know,
sunken
right?
bars. It has margarita machines built in at every corner. So it's really neat. I need to share some pictures with you anyways to put on
You
there.
need to share a trip with me is what you need to share, right?
What are you doing this afternoon?
And it's what, 10 million gallons?
Oh no, that was that was the Crystal Lagoon. We built that in Prosper and Windsong. I had the fortunate to work with those folks at Windsong. Pretty interesting project. You know, it was essentially a 10 million gallon body of water with a liner and essentially a water treatment plant tied to it.
Wait a second. You say with a liner.
It was it was like a PVC type liner in it.
In the entire lagoon?
The entire thing, yeah.
Wow.
Holy crap.
Snow white, that's what makes the water look blue. You can see it really can see it from space, but
And it's 10 million gallons.
10
And by the
million
way,
gallons, yeah.
this is at Windsong Ranch, and then it's only for Windsong Ranch. Like the public can't get into it, and they're like really tight about letting people in. Brianna had a friend there, and I wanted to go see it. I couldn't get in.
wow.
Like they're very stringent upon who gets to go in there.
I wouldn't let you in.
Huh?
I wouldn't let you in.
Yeah, I wouldn't let myself in either, but.
Yeah, so that was a fun one. We had
Now, how long did that take to build that?
That was about a year.
A year?
That was about a year. And that was the year I think we had record rains.
Uh-huh.
It would rain like 26 or 28 days a month. That was
crazy.
in 18 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
And was that like the first type of project like that, big project that you guys have done?
Dollar-wise, no. But yeah, I mean.
So I'm sure there's a lot of lessons learned during that.
A lot of lessons learned on the fly is because they hadn't really built one in clay soils. There hasn't really been one built in this part of Texas. And so it was a huge leap on Windsong's part. They really put a lot of faith in us and in their belief and vision for it. And obviously, I think you could say it paid off really well for them.
Yeah, it's legit.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Rough Rider Stadium in Frisco.
Yep, minor league baseball.
Yep. We got to build a lazy river that sits, hangs out over the outfield wall in the air that they now lease out. Pretty cool deal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
That was a fun one. And I remember back, we had a great relationship with the city of Frisco, and they had the city manager, they had the development department, they had the engineer, a gentleman by the name of Terry Brannon, who I've worked with for 25 years. And I had one of my guys with me. And so there was probably 10 people around the table and then 10 people sitting outside around the table. And they were talking about this. And Chuck is the owner of the Rough Riders. He used to own the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Very passionate guy about his business. He's a visionary, right? And we're talking about this project and we're going back and forth and everyone's getting their input. Well, all of a sudden it's like the lights went out and Chuck and I are going, he's like, well, can you do this? Well, yes, sir. Can you do this? Yeah. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you be done in 3 months for $2 million? I said, yeah. He goes, you got the job. Thanks. We walked out. Yes. And my guys looked at me and he said, 3 months? He goes, this is a 12-month project. I said, well, you better get to work. We've got some figuring out to do.
Love it.
And so we did it. We built it in 3 months. Worked 24 hours around the clock and put that in. So that was obviously a lot of stress. Might have let my mouth get ahead of my brain there, but where there's a will, there's a way.
Oh,
Wow.
that's freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Right? What kind of I'm sure the staff must have been enjoying that one, right? It's like a 12-month project. Yeah, we're going to do it in 3,
We did it.
No, that's awesome. And you guys also did the rooftop.
Yeah, we've done a number of rooftop pools. We did the Omni Hotel at the Star.
Mm-hmm.
We did 12 Cowboys Way over there.
Mm-hmm.
We did the majority of the pools of the new Omni PGA out there for that group. We redid the Omni over here in Las Colinas. We've had a wonderful relationship with those folks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Those are some amazing builds, by the way. So for everybody listening, look them up. But even the lagoon is pretty cool. But think about it, 10 million gallons of water. What kind of equipment do you have in there?
It's literally a water treatment plant.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It's like a wastewater treatment plant that we use.
That's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, they're pre-built. The equipment sets are pre-built in 40-foot shipping containers, and we just shipped them in and hook them up and plug and play. I think there was 4 or 6 shipping containers of equipment.
Wow.
I'd love to see that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's
Wow.
gotta
Cool.
be. That's
Yeah,
gotta
that
be.
is
That's
pretty
really cool.
That is gotta be pretty cool.
That's kind of the stuff I geek out on, the big pipe and the big filters
yeah.
and the big sanitization.
Yeah. And it's stuff that you don't get to do every day, right? So
No.
taking on a project like that is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not every day you're out there with a come along gluing 18-inch pipe together.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the other thing is they did, when you come out of our house and we're going to the Dallas Toll and there's the Star, it's not the Star Trail.
Yep.
They did all of the, and there's like 3 pools in there, and there's a kid pool, the regular pool, and then
Yeah,
they've got
we just-
the water features. It does look like a complete water park.
We did, and we actually built that whole subdivision, all the entry monuments, the walls, and that
Did you really?
That ties back. So in, maybe 05, 06, or 07, I don't remember when it was, the Jones family, obviously, wonderful family, but are large real estate developers as well.
Right.
In Prosper,
Yeah.
they have the Gates of Prosper, they have Star Trail, Starwood in Frisco.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Star Creek was the one in Allen, and they were doing their second phase pool, and that's when I got introduced to them. And so it was about a 5,500 square foot pool. It was pretty simple, just deck around it. It was the secondary amenity with a little brick outhouse, right? And so we go out there, and at the time I was still digging pools. So I was sitting on the Draco, and we're digging this big pool, and I had looked at the geotech report, and it had said we're supposed to get to rock at the bottom of this pool. And so we get down to the bottom of the pool, and it's kind of this like yellow looking clay. So I called the owner in Blue Star's office, and I said, hey, this doesn't look like the geotech. They said, hey, don't worry. We'll send the engineer out. And they send the engineer, they test it. They said, oh, the soil's fine. It's innate. Okay. Right. So we go through, we build the pool, pour the decks. They have somebody else come in and landscape, and they berm up all around this swimming pool. Well, within 2 days of filling it, the water comes out, it drains, it's dammed up, it runs under the pool. It hits this innate soil, supposedly innate soil.
Right.
Edgar, I am telling you, it opened up a crack this big in the pool. We couldn't even keep it full.
Wow.
Couldn't even keep it full. And so you fast forward, I went home and we were still growing. This was like 05, 06.
Right, that's
I mean, that was a
regularly, yeah.
huge
Yeah.
project for us, right? I went home and I told my wife, I said, babe, we're getting ready to get sued by Jerry Jones. We are in a bind. And that's when I met Joe Hickman, who's part of the family, who runs all of their real estate, who's now one of my great friends today. And you want to talk about nervous? I went in their office and he looked at me, Marcus, and I said, son, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. And I said, Mr. Hickman, it's not. He goes, I know you said about the soil and we told you it was okay. And I know that. And I mean, we couldn't, he goes, just patch it. It'll be fine. And I went home. I said, yes, sir. And man, I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep for the life of me. I woke up in the morning. I went to his office. I said, Mr. Hickman, I'd like to meet with you. He said, yes, sir. I said, we're going to take that pool out. He goes, well, hold on, son. What's that going to cost me? I said, it's not going to cost you anything. I didn't know I was going to pay for it.
Uh-huh.
And we went in there and took the whole amenity pool, decks, put it back in, and had it plastered in 5 days.
Wow.
And didn't charge them $1. So fast forward, that's why we got to build other subdivisions. We built a relationship with them over the years just by doing right by them. But it was definitely a stressful time in the business.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine like you're going in going, uh-oh.
Well, and
It's-
now that I've had the opportunity to know them, they're about as kind-hearted as you could find. They're not litigious people, but we just felt it was the right thing to do, and it's obviously paid dividends for years.
I mean, again, and it goes to what I was saying earlier too, right? There's an opportunity, and usually somebody would be, oh my God, blame point. It's not my fault.
It's
not
very
our fault.
quick,
Going
yeah.
into self-preservation mode,
Yeah.
where you say and you take it in the chin and say, this is what we got to do.
Yeah.
You give a little bit now, and then look what it pays for in the future, right? You get it back 10, 100-fold.
Yeah, looking back 15, 20 years, that was definitely a turning point.
Yeah.
You think back and you look at all the things that happen and things run together, and it's hard to think you've been doing this for decades now. You're running into year 30 or whatever the case may be, right? Gold medal, we started in 97. But through all those, there's just a handful of times you think back and you're like, man, I'm glad I took a right, because if I'd have taken a left, it would have been different.
Yeah.
Pivotal moments in history, right?
Yeah.
Where if you would have made a decision and gone the other way, it could have changed the complete outcourse or the outcome of your future.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely not surprised though in meeting you and kind of watching your operation and how you guys are always focused on doing the right thing.
Yep.
It just that goes hand in hand.
I appreciate that. It means a lot.
So, hey, let's do this. So we're going to change it up a little bit. It's not a word from our sponsors. We're going to take a break. So it's going to be about 2.5 minutes. When we come back, what I want to start doing is I want to start talking about business, because there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about there. So everybody stay tuned. We're going to take a quick not word from our sponsor. See, I got to learn. A quick break. We'll be right back.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and get hands-on? Welcome to the Pool Nation Conference, where learning goes beyond the classroom and takes you straight into the field. This November, join us for an experience unlike any other in the pool service industry. Over the course of 3 days, you'll immerse yourself in hands-on classes, business classes, technical training, and retail courses from the best in the business. Learn directly from experts who've been where you are and are ready to share the skills and knowledge that can transform your career. At the Pool Nation Conference, it's all about doing. You won't just hear about the latest techniques. You'll be getting your hands dirty, stripping wires, taking heaters apart, installing pumps, and so much more. This is hands-on, real-world training with top industry professionals guiding you every step of the way. Whether you're fine-tuning your skills or learning new ones, you'll leave with the confidence to tackle any job. But that's not all. Discover innovative products from leading brands and connect with other professionals just like you. Network with top experts, form valuable partnerships, and gain insights that will help you grow your business. This is your chance to dive into the future of the pool industry and come out stronger on the other side. Don't miss the Pool Nation Conference at the PSP Expo, happening November 9th, 10th, and 11th at the Kay Bailey Convention Center in Dallas, Texas. Register now at poolnation.com or poolspapatio.com and secure your spot at the event that's all about hands-on learning, real growth, and real results. Pool Nation Conference, where your success begins. Get ready for the can't-miss event of the year for pool pros, pool builders, retailers, and outdoor living professionals. From November 12th through the 14th, join us in Dallas for the International Pool Spa Patio Expo, co-located with Deck Expo, a premier 3-day experience that brings together the best in the pool, spa, decking, and outdoor living industries. With over 400 exhibitors showcasing cutting-edge innovations from the latest pool products, chemicals, and hot tubs to state-of-the-art decking and eco-friendly designs, you will have everything you need to stay ahead of the curve. Whether you're a builder, retailer, or service professional, this is your ultimate opportunity to network, expand your expertise, and get ready for the 2025 buying season. Don't wait. Visit poolspapatioexpo.com and register now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation live podcast. We are in studio. We are talking to Josh Sandler. Kind of getting some amazing stories out here, right, John?
Oh, yeah.
I love those. So, hey, before we continue, I want to give a couple shout outs out here. Let's see here. T-Ray, what's going on? Benny, Pensa Structures, what's going on? Lucia, big shout out. DM Pool Services, Biscayne Pools, what's going on? Aladdin 1950, what's up? Sam, how are you? Mr. Pieri, Making Way Pool Service. Big shout out to all you guys out there. Thanks for listening in. Jeanette, Kevin, big shout out to you out there. Sorry that I've kind of forgot about you guys today out here. Normally I'm over here jumping in and giving everybody shout outs, but I've been so intrigued into the story that I've kind of unfortunately forgot about all you guys. So you know what? We'll just blame it on John, because John,
Go for it.
John can take the blame and
You can blame it on me. I'm the new guy.
So, there's a couple of things that I want to ask before we continue, right? So you're doing construction. You kind of do all of that through, obviously, 2008. You go all the way through 2017. Let's talk a little bit about the COVID years, the freeze in Texas, because we haven't talked about that. How did that affect your business, or how did it, help you grow your business?
That really shifted our perspective for sure. I don't know how far, it's almost worth rewinding back just a tad. So as we began to grow commercial in 2010, and ironically, you're not going to believe this statement, I was almost anti pool maintenance. Because of the stereotype that had preceded it, right? We had always had challenges with it. We never did it in-house before that. We had some great people that we trusted and referred our business to over a lifetime, but I had this horrible misconception. It was wrong. I mean, I can tell you at this point in my life, it was wrong, of kind of the pool guy that was scruffy and stunk and had the hole in his shirt, and he would drive through the alley and kind of throw a chlorine tab over the fence. And,
That's a good one.
And then the beat up truck and the homeowner calling when the wind blows after you leave, saying leaves are in the pool. If shows my age, but if I knew then what I knew now, I would have really started being more of a turnkey provider, right? And doing the repairs for our clients and not farming them out, and doing the cleanings and the maintenance for our clients. So that really started to shift as we started to think about, and this is all going to tie it as a common thread really to legacy planning, because as you build a business and as you generate not only income, but you start to build wealth, as wonderful as that is, and it's really every business owner's dream, if it's not planned well, it can be a tremendous burden, not on you or I, but on the next generation, the next up, your employees, if that's not planned properly. So a lot of this really stemmed around legacy planning, right? So in 2015, I was very fortunate to have some wonderful people who are still some of my closest friends to help with some estate planning and financial planning and tax planning, and really setting the stage to get to where we are today and having a plan. And we said, okay, well, if we can do X, Y, and Z and hit these numbers, we can qualify for this and see what's in the market. And it was really before the investment side of the pool market had happened. So we knew that maintenance was a part of it, but it was just such a small part of our business. So as we continued to grow, we were really focused on construction, and we happened to do some maintenance. We probably cleaned, not making light of it, but we probably cleaned 1,000 pools a week. They were all from construction, all our own clients. We didn't market to anyone. That's what we did. And so where the shift really changed is when COVID hit, commercial projects shut down, right? We were building the Aquaman ride at Six Flags, closed. We were redoing the Omni Hotel, closed. Home builders thought the world was ending. All amenity centers that weren't started stopped, right? So there was this moment in time, and it felt like '08, when I was literally sitting in the office, one of my guys, Eric Geiger, going like, we literally don't have anything to do. What are we going to do? That was in '08. One guy walked in looking to buy some mastic, and we cornered him, and by God, we sold him a pool, right? It was fight or flight. It was fight or flight, right? So as we did that, we really started to think about, okay, we've lived through '08. We need to learn from that. It was hard. We did well, but how can we do this smarter? Now we have COVID. We didn't know we were going to be classified an essential business. We thought we were going to have to park 200 trucks. And we couldn't see anybody. We were doing all this on the phone, right? So you're missing that whole social interaction piece of it. So as we thought about that, we said, okay, look, we know commercial construction can be lumpy, but we never thought it could shut off like this. It was too good, right? So how can we focus more on that? And we said, we need to focus on the essential services, right? What can we count on? Where can we build a relationship with a client where we can continue to service them and continue to take care of them over the lifetime of their pool ownership? And that's where we really started thinking about the maintenance piece. And then we were considered an essential service. The residential construction went through the roof, right? Which inherently started to feed the maintenance machine. Well, guess what? Here comes the freeze. Right? Here comes the freeze. Just when you think you have it figured out, here comes the freeze, the unimaginable, right?
Yeah.
Well, the fortunate part for us was, I personally didn't have power in my home for 10 days, right? My pool had a 8-inch thick sheet of ice. My dogs were running around on the pool. It was solid. Equipment was blown up. We had all the folks in commercial, all the folks in residential. We were in our Frisco office at the time with no power and flashlights, and we had to figure it out quick. We were getting 1,000 calls an hour.
Jeez.
Oh my
1,000 calls an hour. So we
crazy.
literally took, it didn't matter if you worked in AP, if you worked in AR, if you worked in commercial, if you worked in finance, if you worked in construction, you were in a truck and we were looking at pools, right? Well, the next side of it was because of our relationships and our size in commercial and residential, we had pretty good access to parts.
Yeah.
They were earmarked for us. When nobody could get parts, we could.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the drive, we had the team that came together. It's always, and as a business owner, it's such a proud moment when what comes as a time of crisis, you see everybody just come in and lock arms and come together. And it's not an ideal situation. It's not safe on the roads. It's icy. And you can see your breath in the office and you can't turn a computer on and just everything's going wrong and everybody's banded together. It was just such a proud moment for me, frankly. And that's when the light went off. We actually had a board meeting that week. Guys flew in. There was a huge flood at the Omni Hotel. There was no power there. We sat in our conference room. All of our show pools in Frisco were frozen solid. And we said, there might be something more to this whole service and maintenance thing. Right? So that's really where it started. So with COVID really starting to fuel the construction, which ultimately fueled our maintenance clients and repair clients, and then you throw the freeze on that, we just said, boys, we need to take these lemons and make some lemonade now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's really where it all started. We began to grow that. We really saw the value in it. We really think focus is a powerful tool. So as great as commercial was, we started evaluating the business. So we take our residential construction piece and look at it on its own. Because when it's all in the same office, you run them with separate teams, but it kind of all gets mixed up,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we started looking at the service and maintenance piece. And then we started looking at the commercial piece. So what we found out and what our thesis was that the residential construction and the service and maintenance go really well together. And we were going to carve off the commercial piece. We had a huge, a $60 or $70 million backlog ready to go in it. We were just going to carve it off, literally put it in another office, run it on its own, make it stand on its own 2 feet, because that's such a fast-paced, high-risk, high-stress environment it just ends up pulling all your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, okay, we're going to carve it off. And I said, there's one person that kind of does these turnkey things like we do. I've never met him, but I'm just going to call him. I'm like, hey, man, you want a commercial company? He's like, well, I don't know, maybe. Let's meet. He's a good old guy from Weatherford.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up, and we sit down, and it was like on March the 6th of last year. And I said, hey, here's what we've got. We got this backlog. We can do this. We'll transition. We got these employees, these relationships. And he said, yeah, no, I think we could do it for about this much. And I said, well, how about that much? And he said, okay. And I said, one condition. We got to be closed by the end of the quarter in 24 days. He said, deal. And we just put our head down, and boy, did we run. We just thought focus was a really powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
You get many things in this world. The one thing you cannot make more of is time, right? So we were spending so much time on something that was way more stressful, profitable, but less valuable long-term when we start thinking about legacy planning and enterprise value. So we said, you know what? We want to put our time into the thing that, one, is going to give us the most time for quality of life, time to improve our investment, and really to capitalize for our whole team. So we took the biggest part of our business and sold it in an effort to go against the grain and focus. And it's been one of the best decisions we've ever made in our business, because it's really allowed us to focus on the customers and the residential customers and the service and the cleaning and all the pieces that we really think, bring the most value and quality of life and legacy to all of our team.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like you talk about, it's the lifetime of that pool, right? Now there's a business that's a lifetime rather than just kind of going, building, moving. You're going to have that point that it's a lifetime customer.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Now, how many pools do you guys service now?
Thousands. Well in the thousands.
That is awesome. And so you guys got to the point, obviously you see that vision, you see the importance of that service side. So then you go full mode into this is what we're going to build, and you start to acquire other businesses with the focus on that growth.
We did. We went out and we came out of the bat in the first 14 months, and we did about 16 acquisitions, anyone from 1,000 pool companies to 200 pool companies, right? And we really spent a lot of time. After we got through the first 16, we paused and we reflected, right? Because there was a lot of things, and we're brutally honest with ourselves. If you're going to grow a business and you're going to grow a team and you're going to do M&A and you're going to manage investment, there is zero room for ego in this business, right? It's easy to and it's not a negative state, but it's easy to look in the mirror and point out all the great things you're doing, whereas our team is focusing on what can we fix to make more great things. So we did our first 16 acquisitions, and then we paused. And, because we had a machine for years, the most reliable thing we had in that business was the cleaning, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the construction. It was affected by weather. It was affected by financing. It was affected by soil. There were so many things. But in the maintenance business, for the past 10 years we had done it, we put $1 in every month, and this much gross profit would come out. I mean, it was like clockwork. All of a sudden, we do these acquisitions. We'd put $1 in, and about 2% less gross profit would come out. And we're like, You'd put $1 in, 4% less gross profit would come out. And so what we found was, in a company of our size, we go through, we finish the month, we close the books, and we're really trying to be buttoned up somewhere between the 10th and the 20th of the month, the following, right? So if you have a problem on the 1st of September and you don't figure it out until October the 20th, you're 50 days behind. So what we saw, one, how it affected the margins, but we really dug deeper and we challenged ourselves to think critically. And we said, okay, well, that's why our employee turnover rate's higher. That's why our customer turnover rate is higher than we want, because nobody inherently wants to do a bad job for you. But if you do something wrong for 50 days, at some point, you're just going to throw your hands up and say, I'm out of here. I'm going to go find something I can do well at. So we paused, and we spent quite a bit of money. We brought some consultants in, and we said, we need to measure this business better. Mm-hmm. We need to measure it every day, because measuring it every 50 days is not a way to grow and scale. And it didn't have to do with profitability. It had to do with the two things that I think about in this business when I wake up: employee retention and customer retention. How can we take care of them better, right? How can we give them better visibility? How can we help them understand, how do I win today? Not, man, you've been screwing up for 50 days. You know, we need to talk, right? Nobody wants to have that conversation. And so rather than saying, oh, cleaners these days, and oh, kids these days, and oh, millennials, and oh, the workforce, that's ridiculous. It's on us as leaders to make sure we can put them in a position to succeed, because this is the world we live in. Can't change it, and it's not a bad thing, right?
Right.
So we spent a lot of time and money building scorecards to say, all right, look, we don't want to just build reports to build reports, but how can I give you information that lets you know if you're winning or not? And how can I use data to coach you rather than saying, you know what, this pool was green, you need to do better. You need to work harder. You need to dose chemicals better. That's not really a good answer as a leader. How can I serve you better? That's the question that we ask ourselves when we look in the mirror. So we spent a lot of time really measuring, learning how to measure the business down to its most granular level. And then we took all that information and we said, okay, how do we separate the critical few from the trivial many? What really moves the needle? And how do we set these guys up to win the day? Because look, if you win the day, you win the week. You win the week, you win the month. You win the month, you start to stack quarters. Now you start to stack quarters. Now we're talking about winning years. And that's really the goal. So that's how it started. It's always evolving nonetheless. There is so much to be counted for in interpersonal communication with folks, in meeting every day, in training every day, you know, because frankly, we got off to where it was like, okay, hey, look, you've got 12 pools today. If you want to come in at 6, you want to come in at 8. It just wasn't working. Everybody was disjointed. And the supervisors were chasing their tails. And we became hard to do business with. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem, right? So we think about it and we go, okay, yeah, we don't beat our chest, say, oh, we're big. You know, we clean thousands of pools. Nobody cares about that, right? What they care about is, Edgar, if you call me and you say, hey, I'm having a party and my heater's having a problem, and you have a one polar and he says, yeah, I'm taking the kids to soccer practice, I'll be there in an hour. If we can't do that with our size and scale, we'll never scale.
Right.
So we really spent a lot of time going, how do we listen to our technicians? Because we can make all the strategy we want sitting around this table, but the guys that's in the yard every day, they know what the customers need. I think I know. But if you can create a situation where these guys know what they need and this servant leadership mentality to go, how can I clear roadblocks to make your job easier to take better of the customer? And then you actually do it. Well, now you get buy-in. And now you've got folks that are fighting to take care of customers. And you got folks that feel like they have a voice and folks that feel like they have an organization that supports them, not an executive suite that's dictating to them and hitting them with a stick going, we need better results. We need better margins. Nobody wants to work in that environment.
Right.
And so we spend a lot of time making sure that that's what we're not, you know?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, John, I was able to go there, and sorry, Zach, because you weren't able to go, but you would have completely geeked out. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about that visit. So we get there to do the visit. And first of all, your facility is beautiful, but the first thing that I walk into that space and I look at is the mannequins that you have over to the left with the uniforms, which basically right off the bat tells me this is how our employees are going to dress. And he's got 3 mannequins and there's 3 uniforms, and that's how every employee is going to look. And then I start looking at the employees that start coming out, and I start looking over to the left to the mannequins, and I start looking at what they're wearing, and they're all matching, right? But here was a key thing. Not one person that walked by me didn't stop to ask me to see if I needed help, because the gal that was up front went over to go find you. And about 3 of the guys, pool service guys, which we had met at the Heritage event, and they come out and they're like, hi, how you doing? Can we help you with anything? Have you been helped? Right? These are pool guys.
Yeah.
These aren't, right?
That's awesome.
And so one of the pool guys, I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, I don't believe that you would remember me. And I'm like, of course I remember you. And so we're kind of having a conversation. So we start talking, and we're starting to talk about data. And you know how I geek out about data. Like, I'm all about like the data. And we start walking by, everybody saying hi. And so we're going to go into this one room. And right as we're getting ready to go into the room, Josh turns to me and goes, "Shh, keep it down." And I'm like, okay, opens up the door and it's their call center, right? There's all these people just taking phone calls. Made sense because you know me, I would have opened my mouth right off the bat. Oh my God, this is so freaking cool, right? But he sits there and he's like, "Shh, let's keep it quiet in here." And I'm like, "Oh shit, it's the quiet room, right?" And we walk in, but there's two big, huge TVs bigger than that TV behind you right there, right? And there's one on each side of the room. And there's all these people on phone calls, taking phone calls and having conversations. And Josh turns over and he goes, "This is the operation that we look at." And there was this one big number right in the middle of the screen. And it was every single ticket that has been opened that day, right? So every single phone call that comes into that call center gets logged. And once it's logged into the system, it goes up into the board, right? And I start thinking to myself, just genius, right? Like that's one of the biggest problems that people have is you're taking all these calls and people, how do you schedule this person over here? And how do you schedule it and all that kind of stuff? And Josh is like, that's the number that we need to make sure goes to 0 every single day. And so there's people in here that their focus is opening tickets, making sure that all that. But at the end of the day, I want everybody to be taken care of by the end of the day and to know exactly where we are. So you start looking at that, right? And from the data, and there's other data that they watch and they check it, but it's constantly right there. And
real
John,
time. Yeah.
It's real time data. And guess what? You talk about it all the time. What you see and what you track is what you focus on, right?
Of course.
And so it was just absolutely amazing for me to see that. And right off the bat, I started just going, this is what I want to share to the pool pros around the world, right? Like you want to scale, you want to get big. This is kind of how you tackle, some of those things right there. So I just absolutely, love the facility. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you do that were very impressive. So you walk out into this yard and there's just freaking trucks everywhere, right? And so I started geeking out, right? And then, but you're talking about it too, and you talk about the importance about, your company, the message that you send. And so you, even when we're talking about it, every single truck was completely washed. Like there's no dirty trucks. And then you were talking about it. Any trucks that get dents or get scratched, they're completely
fix it immediately. Yeah.
They're pulled off the lot. So if they get a scratch, they get a that's it. They're done and they're off the lot. Right. So, a lot of that visit was just kind of watching all the attention to detail to all those things, from the service side. So I completely geeked out, by the way. Zach, you didn't come up, so you missed it.
I've been sitting here quietly, but my heart is like pounding. I'm sweating. Like this is just pure gold. And I cannot wait until this comes out so I can take this to my team and be like, listen, because this stuff is so important. And I mean, you talk about being a servant leader, and like I'm still young in my journey, and like we're going into uncharted territory every day, and we grow and it becomes more challenging, and just trying to like bang my head on the desk of like, how do I crack this code? How do I crack this code? And you do fall into that bucket of like really start looking at margins and these things, and that's all very important, but a lot of times that blurs the line between like doing what is best for the customer or giving concessions in some way for that long-term relationship and that long-term game. And I have notes upon notes upon notes, and I would love to come see the facility.
There it is. There's the invite, John.
Open invitation. Anytime.
You probably won't want me there
Anytime.
because I won't shut up. I'm like, how can I come like shadow you for a week or something?
Come on. You're welcome to.
We need to be here for that too.
All right. Come one, come all. Let's do it.
And it's a beautiful facility. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's a great place. We started. We still have the same office in Frisco, and it was a Morton Barn building with a gravel parking lot, and so
I remember that.
Yeah, still have it. That's where our sales center runs out of. But yeah, this has been a great spot to really call home and have our central operations for all of our different offices. So it's been a great spot.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a couple of things. I kind of want to get into the business classes that you're going to do at the conference, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about those things.
Yep.
You know, one of the things that I really enjoy is your dedication, your focus, but you know, you're somebody that comes from a legacy family into the industry. You guys have created some amazing companies. And I think a lot of times, not always, but we see a lot of times that, you know, those big companies, they just kind of do their thing and they just want to do their thing. And yes, they're part of this big industry, but you don't always get a lot of those big companies giving back to the industry, right?
Right.
And every time that we've talked, you know, you've talked about wanting to leave the industry better than you found it.
No question.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we had the pleasure of meeting at the HASA event, and it was really quick because we got interrupted, but we talked just for a couple minutes, and you were so passionate about it and kind of opened the door for me to say, hey, you want to teach some classes? And he's like, yes, let's do it. And I'm like, yes, you know? So let's talk a little bit about the classes, because with all your experience, I want to talk a little bit about the scaling thing, because I think there's a lot of companies that hit that, what, John, like that 200, 300 mark, and then it's very difficult for them to scale, right? There's something that is a crutch for those companies to be able to scale. So when we talked about it, one of the classes was obviously, you know, being able to scale and grow and strategies for business expansion. So can you talk a little bit about what you want to address in that training?
Yeah, I think well, I can tell you this. I think we need to take one step back. And I can tell you, in my younger careers and in my younger days in my career, and this was foolish, I'm a pretty competitive person, you know, played sports growing up, you know, you want to win, you want to win. And in my younger days, I really had the mentality kind of this, if you're not with me, you're against me, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and I would keep everything tight to the vest. And you might be a perfectly good guy, but if you're in competition with me, you're in my crosshairs, and we're going to win. And frankly, that was really foolish. And so as I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to talk to so many business owners over the years now, as we do acquisitions, and we truly are committed to making this a better place, it's important for everyone to know that when you come to the classes, I truly am an open book, complete 180 from what I was in my younger years. And if I'd have known that sooner, we'd probably, you know, we'd be doing even better. But it's really important to know that it's a safe space, right? It's a safe space. It's not competitive. There's no secret. There's nothing you can't tell me that I'm going to use against you in the market. It doesn't matter if you're next door to us. I'm happy to help you. I mean, I truly am. This industry has been phenomenal to us. And really our whole mantra and vision here is to professionalize the industry more than it has been. You know, things like uniforms, clean trucks, pictures when you leave the pool, reporting, all the things that I would complain about in the industry. I said, okay, well, if we're going to do it, here's the way we're going to do it. And so as we come into here, there's no reason to come into this with a guard up, right? Maybe out of all the companies we talk to, maybe 1 in 30 or 1 in 40 do we actually do a deal with. But hopefully we make an impact and help the other 30 or 40 that do it. So I think it's really important for everybody listening to know, and as we go, that we truly are committed to helping. So you don't need to come in with your guard up, because if I was on that side, that's how I would be, right? So they need to know that we're just here to help, right?
And so, you know, you talk about obviously kind of going back to the mentality of winning the day, right? Like winning, you know, the week. So what is that like, and what are some of those conversations with your team, especially on the service side, of like, what does it look like to win a day? What does it look like to win a week?
That's exactly right. And so we spent a lot of time, and basically what we did, we generate a lot of data. You know, you talk about data, and data can be overwhelming, right? It can be totally overwhelming, and you can get what I call analysis paralysis. So we took 2 or 3 days, and we went in our big conference room the year, and we took every bit of data and just taped it up to the wall, and we started just paring it down. What's important? What's important? What's important? And all, you know, what can we use this data for to solve for the next 10 things downstream? And so we spent a lot of time around there to really get down to the 3 or 4 or 5 most critical items that we felt. And so we looked at it from the technician's eyes to say, okay, what do you consider winning the day? Is it no algae in the swimming pools? Sure. Is it no complaints from customers? Sure. Is it if you have 10 or 12 or 13 pools to get done, is it not rolling any pools for the next day? Sure. And if you have an issue, is it getting it solved the same day within your team without having to go to the call center and creating this long loop of communication that makes us hard to do business with?
Mm-hmm.
So it came down to something as simple as that, right? How do we give these guys visibility into what they're doing, right? So we get a daily report, and we have it automated, but we actually went to manual whiteboards for every team. You got to come see our warehouse. Every team has their spot. It was pretty cool to see the guys take ownership. Everyone's named their team. They made their own logos.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It's so cool.
That is cool.
and then we have, and I need to show you a video. So then I had this vision that, every week it's something different. It might be no calls, no shows. It might be percentage of pools that are LSI broken in, because we really do manage to LSI. We're one of the few that do. It might be algae pools. It might be complaints, whatever it is that week, and they don't necessarily know. And then we have our big huddle every Tuesday. We have a heavyweight belt, and the winning team gets it.
Nah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And so the winning team for that week, they wear it. And you want to talk about proud.
Oh, yeah.
And you see them walking through the warehouse, and you see the guys going like, I'm getting that belt from you next week. It's so exciting. And so it's not difficult, but it's hard. Right? It's hard to be repetitive. And it can't be this message from the top saying, this is what you need to do. It's, hey, what's your feedback, guys? How are you going to plan your day? How can we help you do this? How can we serve you to do that? And then give them the data to do it, and then help them with data to improve. So it becomes more of the carrot than the stick. And you build a culture of people that want to win. And that's really been the biggest piece for us. Not hard. We talk about financials and scaling, but really, if you think about it, financial reporting, all it is, it's a rear view mirror of your operations, right? So when you think about driving in a car, you've got a rear view that's this big, right? How big's the windshield? We're going to make our money looking in the rear view of what we used to do. But all financial reporting is an indication of your operational performance. So as you peel it back, you go, okay, well, how am I going to quit looking over my shoulder? How do I look out of this windshield? And how do I create the operational excellence that will deliver the financial performance that I'm expecting, right? And if something's not going to deliver, what's happening in the operations that I can measure daily that I now have the opportunity to make changes throughout the month, throughout the day, right? So we're not getting reporting 50 days later going, oh, man, we should have done that on the first of last month. How do you measure it every day? And how do you create accountability through visibility, right? And it ties back to this whole thing I told you, this whole thought of, I'm the business owner and I know best and I work the hardest and I built this thing with my own two hands and, I signed the front of the checks and the whole mentality. There's a lot of ego that goes into business, not necessarily with me, but it's just inherent, right? So how do you give people insight and become an open book to say, hey, look, guys, these are the things that you need to succeed. And if I can help you to succeed in these things, I will succeed. And that's really the mentality. And it's basically taking your org chart and flipping it upside down, right? CEO's at the bottom, thinking, how can I serve and make everyone's life easier? As opposed to saying, I'm up here. This is what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. I'm the visionary. I own this thing. It's just, to me, it's not productive for scale. And it just doesn't get the buy-in and the culture. It might work for a while, but if you're going to where we are and we're going, you have to have buy-in at the person closest to the customer.
I mean, that's just beautiful. I mean, seriously, and that is the absolute best way to motivate people. And like you said, it does create buy-in and it creates self-accountability as well. Because if there's things that need to be done, who better, right, than the people that are doing them, and asking them what their thoughts are and what they need from you so that you can help provide them so they can do their job well. And they come up with those ideas, right? they feel empowered. They feel like you care and you listen to them, right? Yeah. And then when they go out and they do it, they're not only doing it for you, they're doing it for themselves. And it's that self-accountability, like, hey, I came up with this idea. I'm going to run with this. I'm going to give it 110%, right? And those things are difficult enough to do with a small crew, but to do it at a large scale like that, and to have to be humble enough to accept that, it's not all you, right? And
the last thing,
it
frankly,
is, right? You're only as good as the people that work for you. I mean, I've preached that forever, and it's if you can't get past yourself and realize and understand that that the most important people are your internal and your external customers, your employees and your clients. It's not about you, right? And once you realize that, then it seems like things just fall into place. Now, is it always perfect? Absolutely not.
It never is.
It never is.
It's always changing and struggle.
That is the path. And not only is it financially, it'll help you, but it just makes you feel great as a person too, and what you're doing as well, right? Because you're actually impacting people's lives, and you're making them feel good about what they do, and people enjoy coming into work and wanting to be there, opposed to feeling like they have to be there, have to do what they're told. That's absolutely beautiful, and it's brilliant. I cannot wait to walk into that facility and look at it.
You need to come check it out. Yeah. And frankly, there's a mentality, but there's also a science to it. Right? Simple things like, if some people are going to get complaints, they're going to leave DE around the skimmer. They're going to not vacuum as well as they thought. So we have our huddles every day at 7 a.m. Every team, everyone's there. They put in their requisition for chemicals of what they used the day before. The warehouse gets in early. Everyone has their own square and their spot in the warehouse. Their stuff is ready to go. It's a 14-minute process, right? To meet, review the numbers, get your stuff, get loaded, and get on the road. If you're not on the road by 7:14, then we haven't done it. We haven't done our job right. So I say all that to say that there's little things, and there's little psychological things, like if somebody has a complaint, we put it on the board, right? But we've also told them that if they, within their supervisor and their team, right, there's business units, get it solved and repaired and close the loop with the customer before the 7 a.m., they physically walk up and they get to erase it off the board. They said, nope, that doesn't count as a complaint, and we don't count it towards their bonuses. Awesome. So you see these guys elbowing each other. No. I fixed that yesterday. Let me get that off. Yeah. And you've got this organization that starts to
That's so cool.
fix itself.
Yeah. And it's funny because we talk about it and it seems like, it's like easy. It's not, right? And it's amazing. But once you get that machine going, it's like how proud you feel to be able to see that machine, turning that way.
It's exciting. And you know what? As a leader, it's easy to go, well, this guy's not cutting the mustard. Oh, this guy's not this. I've said this 100 times, and you're going to hear me say it 100 more. Inherently, people want to do a good job for you. You have to let them know what a good job is and help them to do it, right? So we've had some of the guys that had the most complaints, some of the guys that were written up in their files, some of the guys that were on the brink of getting fired.
Turn out to be the best.
The best.
I know.
I was walking in the warehouse. There is a gentleman that came up to me, and he's always the quiet one in the back, and he had the most complaints. He was on his leg out. Well, now, you know what? He gets the most 5-star reviews. He won the belt last week, and he came up to me, totally unabated, in the warehouse, and he said, you know what, Mr. Sandler, I want to tell you something. I said, what's that? He said, I feel so accomplished when I leave work every day. He goes, I wasn't trying to do bad, but I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do. And he goes, you know what? My wife says I've been better at home. And you know what I've been doing every day? I've been running 10 miles. I haven't done that since I was in high school. I've never felt better. I love being able to see. And you can't make this stuff up. If that doesn't make your heart happy and make you want to get out of bed and go to work,
wow.
What does?
It will, right?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I do have a couple of comments on here. So obviously Todd is going, hey, can I be Zach's +1 to go over to Josh's? And then Brad Duncan is, hey, good stuff. And then Brian Croissant is saying, what's up, Josh? Looking good on here, sir.
Oh,
so
hey, Brian.
Shout out to you. So I figured out a new revenue stream.
Uh-oh.
So we're always about trying to figure out where to find more profit, right? So
not what we were talking about earlier.
There's about 3 or 4 people on here that are wanting to go. I think we're going to have to start doing tours and charging.
Nope, no charge.
we start bringing them in a trolley. We get them all off. We kind of go through the, what do you think, John?
Yeah, you can make burritos.
There you go. We'll have a little tent with food that we sell over there in the back corner as we get, so no, absolutely. The next thing I want to talk about, Josh, is you talked about this, and obviously you start to grow your business, and a lot of times as business owners, we're kind of used to doing everything at the beginning, right? And we wear 50 different hats trying to do everything. And I think one of the biggest struggles for business owners is at some point figuring out, I can't do that anymore, right? I can't go out and do 80 to 100 pools, plus manage 2 guys, plus do the financials, plus focus on expanding the business. And you talk a lot about it, and that's really about making sure that you're hiring the right people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. That is absolutely the case. I mean, I think it's important as a business owner to know all facets inside and out. It helps you be a better teacher, a better leader, listening to your folks, helping to make their life easier in that whole servant leadership. If you don't know how to do it, how can you help them to do it? So that's absolutely a big part of it. But also, too, it just comes down to this whole mentality of truly helping people, putting your ego to the side, figuring out where can each person bring the most value to the industry, and how can you do something to what we call parallel process, right? Because if we're all running down the same track together, we'll get it done. We will. But if you really want to scale, it's about expanding. So how do we continue to run down this track without something giving over here, and then start to run down this other track? And now we start to fan out and run this track. And now we want to open office here. And now we want to continue to scale and build on that. But it really starts with a vision. Who do you want to be? What do you want to be? What are your goals? It might be financial. It might be time-wise. You might say, hey, I want to have a business that pays my bills. Do you know why I grew the pool business? This is the God's honest truth. Because I wanted to buy a truck with leather seats. That was my goal. I wanted a pickup with leather seats, and by God, I was going to do it. And I have a truck with leather seats, so it's all good. Right? That was my goal, right? But those begin to change over time, but really spend a lot of time mapping out, okay, where do I want to be today? Where do I want to be tomorrow? And what are the things I want to accomplish? Maybe financial, maybe personal, maybe professional, maybe family, all the things that are entitled with that. And how do I buy myself the time to be able to do that? Because look, you can make money, you can spend money, there's all those things. And it's just this big washing machine or cycle, but you can never get more time. So how do you buy yourself more time? And you buy yourself more time by allowing others to support you and you to support them and help them grow. And if you make a true commitment to helping others grow and letting loose of it, right? You can't grow if you're white knuckling it the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So it's really having a clear vision of where you want to go, being ready to adapt and change when that changes, not if, when. Mm-hmm. Something's going to come.
Yeah.
A COVID's going to come. A freeze is going to come. Something is going to happen, right? Something's going to happen. And you just have to be ready for it. And you need to realize that as you do this, it doesn't matter if someone's a first-day pool cleaner or they're a COO that's been with you for 15 years. If you do your job in helping people understand their vision and build a culture to do it, they will support you in those things. You don't have to shoulder this alone.
Right.
Right. So how do you get others to be part of that and empower them to help?
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about something else because I'm starting to look at the time, and I know you gave me the look. John was like looking at his time and looking at me. We talked about financials, and this was a big turning point for me because we're kind of having the conversation about the class for the financials and the exit strategy. And I think you kind of caught on that, like, we're big into being able to explain to people an exit strategy. You have to have one. But I think I went down the path of really, let's talk about financials. Let's kind of talk about maybe profit. Let's talk about loss. Let's talk about, all those things. But how do we do that in a way that we keep it, a little bit of a high level so we don't, lose anybody? And you jumped in and you said, well, there's really kind of 4 key things that we look at that I think if everybody looks at, they're going to be financially well. So can you talk a little bit about those for that financial class and kind of what?
Yeah, we think about, really, we talk about key performance indicators. You keep hearing me saying that financial performance is a rear-facing view of operational excellence. So what indicators can we create in operations, daily, monthly, hourly, weekly, whatever we think the right cadence is in our business, right? To generate the financial performance. That way it's not like Christmas every day when you close the books, right? Right. We kind of are driving the operations that we know that will do that. And if something's off, we know what levers to pull or what levers we have, because it's never going to go perfect, right?
Yeah.
You've got people, you've got weather, you've just got so many different factors. You know, we're not making widgets in a factory, you know, which is kind of the allure and the fun of this business to me. It's always been really enjoyable to just solve for those things. So, you know, in different parts of the business, you know, the first thing you got to think about in service and maintenance is how am I priced, right? You need to know, what are my COGS? How, you know, what is my price? What does it cost me to roll a truck every day? What does it cost me to pay the technicians? How much is my insurance? How much in chemicals are we using? Is it the right amount? And is there enough left over to make a living at the end? Because if you try and operate on razor thin margins, something will come up and it will eat that away. And so a lot of times we see that. And look, I tell people like this, you know, if we have a banger of a year with your pool, because people are like, oh man, you know, your prices, you're high in the market or whatever the case may be, you know, we're trying to make $300 a year on your pool, $300 or $400 if nothing messes up, right? So it's not like we're making these wild margins, but we're also not hamstrung to the point where if something comes up, we can't take care of it. So the first thing you got to look at is how am I priced in the market? And you have to be real honest with yourself, right? Because the clients are an opportunity to make a living, but if you can't make money off them, it's not worth going.
What's the point of doing it?
And that's a really hard thing to see. And I can't tell you how many deals we come across. We love the team. We love the people. We love the area. We love everything about it. But it's priced so far low, you can't, it's not worth anything. And frankly, they're not making that much money either. And I'm not saying you got to go out and make millions and millions of dollars, but you have to establish what you want to do and what's the balance between what the market will accept in pricing, right? And what are you willing to make and not put yourself in a position where you're biting your nails off if you have a hiccup, right? So step one is make sure we're charging the right amount. And then if you can get, and this is something we drive to and we still struggle with, you start getting down to job level profitability. And you talk about winning the day. Well, if you're going to win the day, you got to win the pool, right? So what are we spending on labor on the pool? What are we spending on COGS on the pool? Do we have is this one of the customers where they always call us back, right? That eats our profit. Do we need to charge more? Can we not do the pool anymore? We want to make them happy by no means, right? We're not in the business of firing customers at all. But how do you win on every pool and start to understand that piece? And if you start to look at those simple things that go in your COGS, it's pretty easy, right? Are we using the right amount of chemicals? Are we paying a living wage to where our folks can live, right? That are working, but enough to where the company can live too. So really understanding that piece and those four main metrics, we'll spend a lot of time talking about that. It's not hard to measure, but it's just a commitment. It's a shift from what we normally do, right? So those are the things we think about. You know, in construction, we think about backlog, we think about our cost, we think about our rebates, and we think about time of build, because there is this whole thing that's hard to quantify, but the time value of money, right? So if we can build a pool, you know, we give a guarantee to build a pool in a certain amount of time, regardless of the price, right? 8 weeks. And we haven't missed yet. But, you know, if you take that same pool and you build it in 12 weeks, it will cost you more money. And it's hard to quantify. And that's that. So if we focus on the right 3 or 4 things, we're really pushing to eliminate that hidden factory of cost. When you look at the month, you're like, man, we worked hard. We did the same amount of business. What happened? Right? So it's identifying the hidden factory of cost and creating operational excellence to get in front of it and measuring it.
That is awesome. Zach,
you live over there? Your head down, buddy.
Let's see those notes.
I'm like normally, like if I listen to a book and it's going through some good stuff, I have to pause it so I can absorb it. And I would have paused this podcast like 5 times by now and walked away. But man,
yeah, you should have just like, Josh, can you repeat that again? And one more time, right? So he could kind of jot his notes down. By the way, Zach, just to let you know, at one point we all stopped, and from here we were all pointing at you at the thing because your head was down and you were like heavy into notes.
yes. No,
Love
this is, I mean, and this, for me, we're at a stage with our growth where a lot of these things that you're touching on are the exact challenges that we're facing, and like, how do we overcome these things, or what processes do we need to put in place? So I mean, I was fired up before the podcast, but I'm extremely fired up now, and I'm like rearing to go. And I'm sure everyone's going to hate me out here when I step out of this room, but I'm excited.
Just to let you know, Zach, Josh just sent us a text. We're actually going to go do the visit with John and Janie right after this, because then there's no more visits till next year. So
I love it.
So, hey guys, let's do this. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, Zach and John want to get some final thoughts.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products.
Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I was trying to get Janie to bring us back from the break, but
I missed it
you
again.
missed it again. That's 2 days in a row.
She was running. She did a good job.
You
Yeah,
know,
give
She
me
can
more of a
move.
Heads up.
I think you're going to go to HR too. We're going to have a conversation about that one next. So, so anyways, everybody, we continue our conversation with Josh with Gold Medal Pools. A lot of gold, right, John? Hey,
Oh, yeah.
no pun intended. I just kind of caught that one. He dropped
Pun
gold.
intended.
Pun intended. Gold.
Pun intended.
It was no pun intended, but it came out. Pun
That's
intended. Yeah. So, anyways, Zach is just sitting there quiet over on the.
His mind's just going a million miles an hour.
So I am going to say this, John. Zach, can you tell everybody on your team the following? That John and I are very sorry for your behavior within the next 72 hours because you are going to be unbearable. Right, John?
Oh, God.
Can you imagine how
Our chat
annoying
is
he's going to
our
be?
chat's going to get filled up with, okay, all right, guys, I'm going to run this by you real quick. This is what we're doing.
Team
right?
meeting, team
Pictures-
meeting.
Pictures of whiteboard.
All hands on deck. All hands on deck.
Oh,
I mean,
the team. What's that, Zach?
they're going to see me rolling the whiteboard out and just all start
See?
shaking their heads.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brain dump coming, forthcoming.
Yeah.
Yes.
John and I are going to be at the airport when we go visit you, and people are going to be trying to take us out all the way from the airport. So I do apologize to all of them. So anyways, Zach, let me get some final thoughts.
Well, first, I want to know where can I download the book because I'm really interested in hearing more. But no, thank you for sharing your story. And we've really just scratched the surface on a lot of it. What was amazing is like how much good, solid information there is within just what we talked about today. And, you know, all the specifics around business and things like that. I love that. But also hearing your story and just hearing some of your values, and I'm going to go back to it, like always do the right thing. And as you grow, you have a lot more moving pieces, you have a lot more costs, you have a lot more things to manage, and you fall into that, like, we've got to protect the bottom line and we've got to do that. But and sometimes there are things that we can do that may cost us in the short term, but may benefit us in the long term. And we shouldn't lose sight of that. And I think this information is not just a matter of scaling, but it's just for any size of business, running a profitable business and a successful business. Like, you don't have to be the biggest monster in the room to be winning. It's like Josh was saying and talking about exit and like, what is your plan? Like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And I think a lot of people fall into that more pools, more money, more pools, more money. And it's like, no, figure out what you're trying to achieve, kind of build it and tailor it to be able to achieve that. And I think a lot of people could accomplish that faster by understanding that and implementing some of these things that larger businesses do, but would make them more profitable as a smaller business. And I'm making it my personal mission. I'm just going to end with this, to flip the org chart. And I don't think that I'm an egotistical person. And I don't know, maybe people around here would say otherwise, but I try not to be. And I think that it's very humbling to hear. Like, I've always wanted to be a servant leader, and it is kind of a hard code to crack. And I'm just going to flip the org chart, see how it goes.
Turn it upside down. Step one, right?
Yeah.
By the way, for everybody watching or listening, John and I are doing the stare down because until I say John's name, he won't
play
talk.
chicken.
Yeah, we just sit here and play chicken all the time at the end of the podcast.
I was just gonna
I'll
say,
do it.
John.
John, final thoughts.
Look, I don't have not really any thoughts here, Josh. I just want to truly, from the bottom of my heart, say thank you.
Pleasure's mine.
And this is we talked a little bit before the podcast started, and I said how, your story, this is what we need to hear, right? As business owners and entrepreneurs, and there's going to be thousands of pool guys and gals out there that are going to get to share your story or understand it or listen to it and be inspired by it. And I am not exempt from that. Very, I'm not going to say rarely, but as you've been in business, over the years, I've had many lives and I've done many things, and I've helped run companies, and we've started our business, and I feel that we're pretty successful in doing what we're doing. But even though, the words that you preach are, the words that we try to live by and do, and we've been preaching this for many years now here, through our podcast and through our our Pool Nation family and in our prior lives, and even, with our family, sometimes there's a reality check you get where even the best of us sometimes become complacent, right? And it takes a story, or it takes, hearing it from somebody else like yourself to help like rekindle or kind of reignite the fire, because, you become jaded sometimes, or like I said, you become complacent, and what you're supposed to do. And even though you might be doing 90% of it right, but there's that 5% or that 10% where you can be doing better, that we go, well, hey, life is good, and, we're happy with where we're at, and, we're not needing or wanting, but you can just do a little bit more. It's stories like this and meeting people like you and hearing what you're doing that help inspire. And I'm going to walk away today feeling a lot better, right? And fired up, where it's not only going to, where Zach is like, I get
it's going to be annoying.
Yeah. Or with us, it's, you helped change this old dog a little bit too, right? And to where we're going to, get back to the drawing board and keep pushing and doing, because, good enough isn't good enough. Right. And, we're, the fire that we had when we first started and got into this business, right, is what drove us to where we're at now. And again, and I'm going to say it again, and it's just, even the best of us become complacent. And I just want to thank you for your time, and especially because we know you're a busy man. And I truly believe when you say, that you want to give back, and, you're not keeping secrets. There's a lot of people that use that wordplay in this industry and in every industry, and pretend that they want to help, or they're there to really help, but it's all self-motivated, and they have their own reasons behind it, right? Or it's whether they want to sit up on the mountaintop and thump their chest and say, I'm the best, and look, I want you guys to be envious of me, right? Or be jealous. I'm better than you. Where I think you come from you're past that, right? You've gone into the whole new realm, that area where I think all of us truly, who are good people and are doing it for the right reasons, they want to be where you're at, right? And stories like what you have and what you've done and what you've built, like I said, are truly inspiring. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's
really, I mean that from the
extremely
bottom of
humbling.
my heart.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So now you get, right? So now you see. So just,
you're like the biggest hype man in the world. I hear it all the time. But
am I right or am I wrong?
You were one.
Am I right or am I wrong?
%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the way it works, Josh. This is the way it works.
I'm going like this.
This is the way it works, Josh. Is I get done with your visit. I call John, and I'm probably talking to him for 45 minutes straight. I'm sure John's probably going on the other side. Oh my God, Janie, yeah. So, and I told them, I said, you guys need to understand when we talk to Josh, it's that inspiring, it's that motivating, it's that getting our industry to that next level to better the industry, So we really appreciate you coming on. We really appreciate your partnership and going over to teach these classes. I think the people, and if you haven't signed up, trust me, you're going to want to go take these 2 classes with Josh. And then not only that, you're going to be able to, meet with him at the event. He'll be at the Heritage event. You guys will be able to talk about business, to talk shop, to talk about all that. So
I think he's going to be pretty busy.
He's probably going to be really busy, right? Right. So
looking forward to it. That's where I do my best work, and right in the middle of the fire.
There you go. So hey, I do want to give a couple shout outs before we leave because I just got so sidetracked that I didn't do a lot of the shouts out here. So Falcon Pools out in Puerto Rico, big shout outs. Aquastar Pool Products was on. Easy Blue, big shout out to you. Innovative Pool Management, Allie, big shout out to you. Brian Sandler, Pool Guys. Logs, big shout out. Eddie, what's going on? Stan Kelly Pools, Tico's Pool Service, Only Pools, Johnny Davis, Cole, big shout out to you out there. Piscinas Limpias, all the way from Argentina, was listening. Big shout out to
worldwide guys. I love it.
There you go. Michael, big shout out to you. Wayne, shout out to you. Let me see here. Co-Life, what's going on? Academy Pools jumped on as well. Golden State Pools, big shout out to you guys out in San Diego. Peerless Pool Cover, what's going on? Adolfo, Leo, Frank, Luxury Aquatics, Italian Pool and Designs, Coachella Valley Pools, and Dolly. Big shout out to all you guys. Sorry I kind of forgot about you guys today, but I was kind of sidetracked over here. So anyways, I hope that everybody has a great weekend. Listen to this podcast. We're going to actually edit it this weekend. It'll be out on Monday. And then John and I are going to the drawing board, right? The rest of the day.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going PSP Expo back into the office, the Pool Nation Awards. So everybody stay tuned. And we'll catch everybody next Wednesday on the Instagram Live. Have a great one. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or PoolNationPodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.